What up, guys? Welcome back out on the Boost Knuckle project. In the last video, we got the crossbar welded in the frame, or the front part of the frame. That way we can make clearance for the oil pan. That way, if we ever have to pull a rod and piston out of this thing, we can do it in the truck and not have to pull the motor every time we have to service something in this thing. This should make things a little bit easier on me and make me feel a little bit better if something ever is to happen and we need to work on it and do some internal engine work and not have to pull the engine out. So that's going to be a good thing. And we did touch up some of the paint on the front end as well, and it turned out pretty good, but it blends in with the frame a little bit better now. We've got to start working on trying to get the belly pan to where it will mount up. The way it mounted before, it mounted to the front of the factory frame there. So I've got to try and figure out some stuff with some Zeus tabs and see if we can get this thing mounted up before we put the engine and stuff back in it. So I've got it kind of setting up here. This is a Vasco Speed S10 belly pan. We've got to figure out something to try and get this front part of it mounted, because the back of it mounts back here on the rear bolts of the lower control arms. So I got to figure out something up here in the front. So as you can tell, this is the old mounting holes here. Obviously there was a big piece of metal that came out all the way out here, which is crazy to me that it was that bulky. But we've got that out of the way now, so we need to be able to make this mount up here. So I've got some Zeus tabs. I probably should not have painted the front of this truck, but my plan is to hopefully put a Zeus tab down here and then we'll weld it to the frame like so. I'm gonna get my trans jack. We're gonna put a tranny jack underneath this, get this thing setting level, and then we'll try and figure out how we're gonna make this work. I probably need to go ahead and put the steering arms back in, mainly because one of them actually kind of clips this here. So I may have to trim this up a little bit. Well, in turn, that may affect where this Zeus tab goes. I mean, we could always put a bar and something up here. I don't know. I'm gonna try and come up with an idea, but I think the Zeus tabs is gonna be the way to go, and it'll be a lot faster, I think, in the long run, and keep everything clear up here. So anyways, let's get the tranny jack out and jack this thing up. So I got the welder out. We got our first tab kind of mocked up here. Got the paint that I just put on grinded down. So we're gonna fire up the old TIG 200 and weld this first tab in. We'll get it mounted, and then we'll go over here. This one's gonna be a little bit different because it's a little offset, where this one's straight in line with the flat piece that we put in. So we'll have to bend this up a little bit, tab, etc., whatever. But yeah, so we got our filler rod here. Let's get the welder fired up. See if we can burn this first one in and try and get this belly pan situation sorted out. So we got those tabs welded in, and I started putting a coat of paint on it. Got the fronts and the backs welded. I got to figure out what springs I need for these. I'll test fit the pan back on it, make sure the pan fits. I need to drill out the holes on the pan. We can get some springs, put springs on it, which those can go on it at any point, doesn't really matter. But at least we'll have the belly pan mounted. I'm probably still gonna have to do some clearancing for where the steering linkage kind of runs through it, but that's not a huge deal. Pretty close to being able to put the motor in the truck. So I'm thinking that I might go grab Troy's intake manifold off his Denali, which I've got parts of his engine back here. It's been back here for a very long time, Troy. And maybe we can throw the 6.2 on the stand and start it up. The motor's ran before, but I did change the oil pump out for a different oil pump. We put an Amazon oil pump in this motor, probably a big mistake. And then I changed the cam in it, and I changed rod bearings in it. And then we plugged the oil squirter holes in the bottom of the block. So I would like to put it in there, check oil pressure and all that stuff prior to putting it in the truck. I've got one motor on the run stand now that actually I sold that's got to come off. so it's going to be empty anyways. And then once we know everything's good there, we can bolt the motor and transmission together, and we can start putting the 6.2 and the Power Glide in the boost knuckle. All right, well, we got the motor on the stand, and I have struggled to get this thing to run. I got really frustrated. I didn't video any of it, me trying to get it to run. It just really struggled to start up. I could get it started up, and I could rev on it. It felt like it had, you know, like it was firing on all cylinders. I pulled the injectors out and cleaned them. The injectors looked good. I don't know if it's a map sensor issue, because this map sensor, there's no scaling in the ASUS EFI for this particular map sensor. They kind of give you a couple different generic OEM map sensor datas. In theory, they probably should work. I don't really know what to make of it. I could go through and check TDC, verify all that stuff, or I can just pull it off the stand, bolt it up to the transmission, get it in the truck, and figure it out after the fact. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this damn thing off here. It should run fine. I don't know why it seems like it doesn't want to. It ran fine in the Mustang when I pulled it out, other than it was hard to start, but a different hard to start. So a little backstory on this before I get any, you know, people don't understand what's going on. This 6.2 used to be in this truck. I ran in this truck for a long time, and it broke a piston. I pulled it out, set it on a stand. I put a 4.8 in the truck, but the 6.2 went on a stand. It sat on a stand for a long time. I ended up replacing one piston because it broke a ringland. Put it back together, it's set on the stand, and then when we got the Mustang, I put it in there, and it was in there for a season. The first time it was in the car, when I first tried to start it up, it actually popped. Like when you're cranking on it, it backfired and broke a rocker arm. So I put a rocker arm on it, messed with it, and finally got it start, and it just always cranked and started funny, but it ran okay. And then come to find out, I was going to a race and decided I wanted to verify timing on it, and I went to go verify timing, and I verified that the crank elector had spun. Pulled it back out of the car, put a 5.3 in the Mustang. It's been there ever since, and this has been sitting on a stand. So we fixed this. We pulled the crank out of it, re-indexed the crank elector, welded it in place, put it back in the engine, so now it's back together, ready to go. It should be fine, should be. I don't know why it wouldn't be. So like I said, it's either this intake or the map sensor or something, I don't know, but I think we're just gonna yank it off, and we're just gonna go ahead and bolt it to the transmission, get in the truck. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna get after it, get this thing plucked off here, and we're gonna sit down in the truck because LS Fest is coming sooner than later. So we got the engine set down in it, as you saw there, and we went ahead and started putting the manifolds on, the crossover pipe, just to make sure all that was good. One thing I noticed was the manifold had cracked here, so I went ahead and welded that back up, got that fixed, and we are changing out the exhaust housing on the turbo, so this is the new one that's going on it. This is a little bit bigger exhaust housing. I figured it's kind of necessary for a little bit bigger motor. And we're working on trying to get the front suspension back on. And we were going to put our Amazon tubular arms on. When I got the one fit in the front, I didn't like the way this rear bushing fits. It's almost like the thing's too narrow, but it did not go in there very nicely. It like pulled forward, as you can tell here. So it was like I had to beat it in with a hammer. And I didn't feel really good about that. Kind of is what it is. We're gonna pull these off. We're gonna put the stock lowers back on it. Since I'm not comfortable with the lowers, I'm probably not gonna be comfortable with the uppers, so I'm gonna pull these back off. Stock ones for the uppers that I've had on the truck are fine, but I decided I was gonna try and notch it because on the passenger side, whatever I did with it, here it is, the downpipe would kind of get really close to it. So I notched it, and then once I started notching it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. So those are not going back on. But we did have another set of random upper S10 arms that I got from my brother when he had his S10. They don't have bump stops on them like the aftermarket ones do. You know, they got a little bump stop right in the middle of them. These look to be more of a race style arm. I don't know how these are gonna pan out, but we're just gonna try them. So I'm gonna work on trying to get the front suspension back together. That way we can get the thing back down on the ground, but in the process, I do have to also make a new transmission cross member because although the Power Glide is only like a ½ an inch shorter than the 400 that was in it, the transmission mount location is in a not so good spot. So now I've got to fab up a new cross member. Not sure what I'm going to do there just yet. I guess we'll get to that on another day. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get the front suspension back together. I was hoping to do my brake upgrade. Don't have time for all that. We just got to get this thing back together, get it back on the road. That way we can shake this thing down and hopefully make it to LS Fest still. There we got all the tie rod ends and everything back on. These tubular arms I had definitely gives us a lot more space over here around this manifold, which I really like, because before the stock one would actually hit this V-band, you can see there's a little dent there. And that's where the stock one would hit it. So we shouldn't have that problem now. The only downfall is I put the spacers in from the alignment where they were before, but at ride height, this arm looks like it's hitting the frame because the way this arm is pitched now because all the spacers. So we are gonna have to try and get this thing aligned. Hopefully, once we get the weight of the front end and all the accessories and everything on it, the front of the truck will drop some more and it'll get it away from that frame rail. Because essentially, like, that's as high as it can go, like up in the air. Like, let's say if I'm launching, it's gonna hit the frame there because there's no bump stops. Like on the factory ones, there's little bump stops here. I don't know how I feel about these arms currently. I think they're meant for something that's lowered, and this truck is not lowered, it's stock ride height. Yeah, I don't know. We may run into some issues there. I mean, right here, this one's good, and I mean, it should articulate quite a ways, but really gonna have to see what it looks like with the front end on it. Yeah, we may end up having to change those again and buying some stock ones or something. I don't know. So don't know what to make of that just yet. That may bite us in the butt. It does look like we're really far away from the cab, which I don't feel like we're normally that far away. So the truck is kind of sitting funny. So maybe once we get it on the ground and all that stuff, maybe that will change. I set it on these blocks because I wanted to crawl underneath of it and tighten up the lower control arms. So I need to do that. And then maybe we'll set it on the ground and see if, because I've got the back on jack stands, look how low the back's tucking the tire. I may need to set it down on the ground and kind of see what it looks like from there. That's kind of where we're at with the truck currently. Man, we really got to get this thing done. I got to get some metal to try and sort out how I want to finish this trans cross member. Once I get the trans cross member done, we can get a drive shaft remade, because I did measure the drive shaft length and we're coming up about an inch short. I mean, it's to be expected since we were making this change. But once we get that stuff done, then we can slowly start kind of making our way forward, getting the front end and stuff back together and all that, so we can try and get this truck done and make it to LS Fest. I'm just not sure we're gonna make it. We're just gonna keep chipping away at it and hopefully get this thing done in time. If we don't, kind of is what it is. But I kind of want to give you a little update. I know I've had a couple guys message me about the Elko project. The Elko project is still kind of moving forward, but there are some things that are changing. Let me hop over in the other garage. We'll look at the car, kind of tell you what's going on with it real quick, and kind of give you a little update on that project, because that's a pretty important project, and as well as the Bel Air. But this one's kind of, we're not talking about it now. I really want to focus on the Elko project, give you an update on it. And the Elko project. As you can tell, we have not done any body work. We did move the car out of the shop just to get it out of the way. The 5.3 and stuff's currently sitting in it. Everything that's been getting rusty from getting pushed outside. My main thing with this car is I really want to have air conditioning. I kind of started weighing my options and all this stuff, looking at the turbo kit, trying to get a plan for this. One other thing I want to have with this car, aside from air conditioning and power steering, is I want full exhaust on it. I want to be able to run full exhaust out the back. That way it's not annoying, it's not a headache to drive, whatever. So then it kind of hit me and I thought to myself, do I really need another turbo car? Not really. The thing with a turbo car is, especially when you're like me, it's far too easy to turn your street car into a race car. I do not want this to be a race car. This is meant to be a cruiser, a street car. I can go out and drive around in, which is why I want AC. I want to do some power tour stuff. We wanted to do some drag and drive stuff with it. The turbo stuff just opened up too many issues for me and this chassis. I don't think we're gonna turbo this car anymore. We're not even using this motor. I wanted to make it a little bit of power. The 5.3 would make plenty of power, but I have a 6.2 block sitting on the stand that had some issues. I wasn't comfortable with selling it, so I just decided I'll use it. It needed some cylinder heads, it needed some pistons because some pistons were bad in it. So I found some pistons online on Marketplace. I had my brother pick those up for me here recently. And then I had a set of cylinder heads off the 6.2 that's going in the truck right now. I had a set of the stock cylinder heads that were on it originally when that motor was in the truck the first time when it broke the piston. I had those sitting out on the shelf, and we're gonna use those on this motor. And it's just gonna be a cammed 6.2, basically an LS3, some custom Texas speed cam. It's not a big NA cam. I think it's more or less, I think it's meant to be a turbo cam. It's bigger than a stock cam. It'll make power, it'll do whatever we want. The turbo 5.3 build for the Elko is no more. It is gonna come out, and we are gonna put a 6.2 in this thing. Super pumped about it. I think if that 6.2 can make 400 horsepower, dude, it'll be plenty. We're gonna leave the 10 bolt in it. It's probably not gonna make enough power to destroy the 10 bolt. The downfall is this car has like a 241 rear gear. I mean, you'll probably be able to cruise down the highway in second gear. But the good thing is the 6.2 will make plenty of torque. It'll probably drive okay. It's probably not gonna be a powerhouse. It's not gonna be fast, but it should have enough power to get it moving and drive decent and be a great cruiser. Since we're not making progress on my side of the bodywork, my buddy Brandon has been chipping away at all the parts for the Elko. I've got something upstairs. Let me run up there and show you what he brought the other day, and I can't be more excited. So here's the door that Brandon has done. And this thing, I mean, this dude crushed it on this door. Like this car is going to be far too nice for me and far nicer than I ever anticipated on it being. And I didn't not anticipate that on him doing his job because I know he's good at it. He's far better at it than I ever was. But it's just too nice for me. It's incredible. He's done a fantastic job, and I'm so grateful. I can't wait to get this thing done and get it on the road. You guys are gonna just love it. It's gonna be sick. And he's been chomping away at the fenders, the other door, the hood. He's done a ton of work too and stuff. I'm assuming we'll probably have a bunch of that stuff in paint fairly quickly. Pretty much it just falls on me to try and get all the rusty spots and stuff sorted out with this, get them all fixed and repaired, and then I can start trying to block this thing out, make it flat, mask it all off, put some sealer on it. Pretty much all we'll have to do at that point is cut in the jams, paint a roof, quarter panels, and that's pretty much it. As far as the bed goes though, I think I'm gonna end up probably doing like a white spray in bed liner, do a color match spray in bed liner, because the floor and stuff's all pretty beat up. The back of it's pretty rough. I don't wanna do any body work or nothing back there. It ain't that serious. And then I think we're gonna end up ditching the drag pack and just putting some normal street wheels on this thing. Elko project is still moving forward, just a little slower than maybe some people would like, but it's moving. Progress is progress. I've said it 100 times. Anyways, a little update there. Just kind of want to fill you guys in for those guys that have been asking me. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. We will be making more progress on the BK here very soon because like I said, we are still trying to make LS Fest. That's kind of the goal. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, comment, like, subscribe. See you guys on the next one.